So today we're going to start. Today it's one of the most fascinating Torah readings. It's the first spy novel in the world. The story with the spies. It's a thriller. It's a mystery. And there's so much to discuss. We'll break it up. We'll discuss it today and this evening and Thursday, the Parsha class, Thursday, 7:30. Today we're going to focus on, the Torah says, Hashem tells Moshe, Shlach lecha, send to you. So Rashi says, what do you mean? Shlach, send. What does the Torah mean, lecha? What does Hashem mean when he tells Moshe, lecha, send to you? So Rashi says, ledaitcha. In other words, it's your idea. It didn't come from the top down. It's not that, it wasn't Hashem's idea to send spies. It was Moshe's idea. The Jewish people came to Moshe and they suggested it, and Moshe accepted it, and he ran it by Hashem. And Hashem says, do as you please. Shlach lecha. I'm not commanding you to do it. Do as you wish. Now, the superficial way of reading this, of understanding this, is that Hashem was very unpleased. Hashem was not happy about it. Hashem says, listen, from my part, you don't have to send. But if you want to send, do, okay. You don't trust me, you want to go ahead, and, with the implication, nothing good is going to come out of it. And indeed, nothing good came out of it. It was a disaster, all-around disaster and tragedy, and we're still suffering till this very moment from that tragedy. In other words, from Hashem's point of view, they would have been better off not to send any spies. You're going into the promised land. They would have gone into the promised land, and that would have been it. That would have been Mashiach. Hashem says, you want to send? Okay, you want. I'm not going to tell you no. But it wasn't a good thing. And the proof is in the pudding. Look at the results. Look at the consequence. So the Rebbe explains, no. If you understand this on a much deeper level, on the contrary, Moshe would never had agreed. It wasn't like he was forced, arm wrestled into it. He was forced to do it. It was a wonderful thing. And when Hashem told him, Shlach lecha, send to you ledaitcha, it was Hashem's approval. Meaning, what does it mean? Because when the Jews were in the desert, they were like children. They were led every step of the way. It's like a child. Your parent takes care of you. Today, the age of childhood can be up till the age of 30. Your parents take care of you. You're living in your parents' house. They pay all the bills. They take care of you. They make all your decisions. You don't have to take any responsibility. The food was given, manna from heaven, the water came from the rock, all their provisions, everything was provided for. No care, no worry. They were able to concentrate and focus on their learning, on the spiritual growth. Now they were about to enter into the promised land. Now the miracles are going to come to an end. You're about to settle a nation, a land. You're leaving the desert. You have to start operating and functioning in a natural way. So therefore, the Jewish people thought to themselves, well, if we have to function and operate in a natural way, then we have to operate on a natural level. We have to act responsibly. We have to send spies. We have to send out scouts. We have to go and check it out. So they came to Moshe and they asked him, and Moshe was actually very pleased. Why was he pleased? They didn't trust. Hashem said, I'm taking you into the promised land. They didn't trust Hashem's ability to deliver on his promise. But why? The reason why Moshe and even Hashem was pleased is because this was a sign of maturity. This was a tremendous sign of growth. This proved to Moshe that the Jewish people got it. It clicked. Everything he's been teaching them for the last year. Plus, they finally got it. Because the idea of the Torah is not just to teach us right from wrong or our duties and obligations. We have 613 obligations. The Torah is much broader than that. Torah is called Torah's Chaim. It's a way of life. Life is all-encompassing. Life affects us 24/7. So when do we know that the Torah really penetrated, that we really received the Torah? God gave us the Torah. But it took over a year for the Jews to fully receive the Torah. It registered. It became part of them. How do we see that? When a Jew realizes that everything that I do throughout the day, 24/7, I'm not doing a mitzvah, I'm not doing anything holy. I'm going about my daily life, my business, my career, my daily life. But a Jew should always ask himself the question, what would Hashem want? What would God want me to do right now? If I were able to speak to Hashem and ask him, what would he want me to do? What would be the right thing to do? And this is such an advanced level, it's such a high level. Because we're not talking about a good choice and an evil choice. That's clear. The Torah distinguishes this is good and this is evil. Guilty and not guilty, obligated, not obligated, right or wrong, truth or false. Here we're talking about two positive choices. You're going about your daily life, you have two positive choices. They're both good, they're both permissible. I'm not doing anything wrong. But should I do this? Should I do A or should I do B? What would Hashem want me to do? That's such a high level, it's such an advanced level of choice. Moshe was thrilled because this is the level dimension that he lived all the time. You know, when the Torah tells us, talks about the sins of the tzaddikim, that the tzaddikim, the righteous ones, sin, Moshe's sin. Yeah, but there's a huge difference in their sin and our sin. When we sin, we did something terrible, we did something wrong, we did something immoral. What was Moshe's great sin? He hit the rock instead of speaking to the rock. But you know, hitting the rock, something wonderful happened, a tremendous miracle happened. He hit the rock and the rock started gushing with water. So Moshe's choice, both of his choices were wonderful choices, miraculous choices. It was considered a sin because it's not what Hashem wanted from him at that moment. Even if I have two good choices in front of me. But I have to choose and I ask myself, yes, this is a good choice and this is a good choice, choice A and choice B. But what would Hashem want me to do at this moment? And if I do not what Hashem wants me to do, even though what I'm doing is moral and ethical and wholesome, it's not what Hashem wants, then it's the wrong choice. So as a Jew goes about his daily life, and most of our life is engaged and occupied with permissible things. Everything in the world is divided into three categories. There are those things that are prohibited, telling a lie, slandering, things that are prohibited, 365 prohibitions in the Torah. Then you have things that are permissible. And then you have things that are mitzvah, that are obligatory, that are holy and sacred. The arena, most of our life, we play in the arena of the permissible. We have those things that are sacred, the mitzvot, we eat the matzah and Pesach, we shake the lulav and the esrog, we have the Torah scroll, we have the mitzvot, we have those areas in our life which we have to completely reject out of our life. It's absolutely prohibited, something that's not kosher behavior. But most of our life is engaged in things that are permissible. It's not kosher, it's not kosher. I'm eating kosher food, I'm sleeping, I'm going about my business. I'm not doing anything holy, but I'm not doing anything wrong either. It's neutral. But if a Jew is constantly oriented and thinking to myself, as I go about my daily life, I have two choices in front of me. This is good and this is good. This is kosher and this is kosher. But what would Hashem want me to do? If I were able to ask Hashem, what would he want me to do at this moment? When Moshe saw the Jewish people was so tuned in with Hashem that they were asking themselves, what would Hashem want me to do? And they figured out, and they said, Hashem would want me to send spies, to send scouts, because Hashem wants us to operate in a natural way. And that's what Hashem said. Not that Hashem was displeased and he says, okay, I'm not telling you to send. I don't think it's a good idea, but if you insist, okay, I give you the green light, I give you permission. No, Hashem was thrilled. Hashem says, L'daitcha. Yes, I'm happy that this is your decision because you are thinking along the lines that I am thinking, but you came up to it on your own. You were able to figure it out. You asked yourself the right question and you were thinking, what would Hashem want me to do in this situation? And I like your answer. That's exactly what I would want you to do. That's wonderful. And this is a very advanced level, a very mature level of Yiddishkeit. We start out, our Yiddishkeit starts out in our youth, we start out with that faith, tradition that we receive from our parents. We don't necessarily fully understand it, it's faith, it's beyond our comprehension, but we receive it, we accept it, and we follow it. A lot of it doesn't make sense to us, we haven't internalized it yet, but we follow it. It's above me. It's beyond me. It transcends me. It's faith. It's religion. It's faith. It's something that's beyond me. And I accept it and I follow. And then as I advance, I try to learn and understand and study and try to understand as much as I can. But then you reach the highest level. The highest level is that your mind starts thinking the way Hashem thinks. When you study so much Torah, that your mind absorbs the divine wisdom, the infinite wisdom, that your mind starts thinking along the lines of Hashem. So it's not just a question of faith. When you have faith, you feel that it's coming from a deep place and deep down inside of you, but it's beyond you. It's not really me. But the ultimate level is that even your mind starts perceiving and thinking the way Hashem thinks. Like we discussed last week about Moshe's humility. Moshe was the most humble person that lived. And he thought to himself, I have nothing to brag about. All the great qualities that I have are gifts from Hashem. So I shouldn't feel arrogant or superior or holier than thou. And even more so, if another Jew was given my privilege or my circumstances, they would have been a much better Moshe than I ever became, because they would have taken my potential and run with it and accomplished a lot more than I ever accomplished with my potential. The question is, why does Moshe even think like that? There's so many people, brilliant people, talented people, and they're as arrogant as they come. Insufferably arrogant. Why is it that Moshe is even thinking like that? Because Moshe is so one with Hashem. He's essentially humble. He's essentially godly. And therefore it colors his thinking. Even his thinking, he starts thinking differently. He looks at the same reality. Everyone else in his shoes would say, look how great I am. Look how brilliant I am. Look how special I am. Look how talented I am. There's no one like me. Moshe's thinking was completely the opposite. Using his mind, he came to a calculation and a realization and awareness as, wait a minute, I have nothing to be arrogant about. And if anything, the other person is superior to me. I feel humble to the other person, because that person in my shoes would have been a lot better off than me, and me in his shoes would have been a lot worse off than him. So you see how that faith completely affects our thinking. It's like the Torah says, you're not allowed to receive bribery. A judge is not allowed to receive bribery. Why not? Because the moment you receive a bribe, and even the most subtle bribe, it literally affects your thinking, it affects your mind. You can no longer think straight. Your mind starts twisting and your mind starts thinking, looking at things differently. So in a sense, this is a good bribe, because a Jew is so connected with Hashem. We're so deep rooted. Our faith is so deep rooted. It's so core. It's so essential. Therefore, our mind, we don't think like the rest of the world. Our mind views reality in a whole different way. To us, everything is a miracle. Everything we see in the world, we immediately point our finger to Hashem. Hashem is so wonderful. It's all Hashem. We see Hashem's hand in everything. Everything is divine providence. We open our mind, we open our eyes, we see our success in business, we see anything that's happening in our life, we see how Hashem is with us every step of the way, because our faith, yes, our faith completely colors our mind. We can't think straight in a positive sense. Our thinking is completely consumed by seeing and sensing and perceiving the truth of Hashem, literally in every step of our life, 24/7. So Moshe was thrilled. Hashem was thrilled. Shlach lecha. Now you're ready to go on a mission. What is shlach? Shlach means an agent. An agent, it's very curious. In law, the legal status of an agent is that shluchah shel adam k'moiseh. An agent represents the principal. It's as if the principal himself has done that. You can even send an agent to marry you. The husband could send an agent to give the ring to his wife, and he's married. When the agent gives her, puts the ring in her finger, she's married. And the wife can send an agent to receive the finger, to receive the ring. And when the agent receives the ring, she's married. An agent represents the principal. So an agent is like, it's like you. On the other hand, to be an agent, only an adult could be an agent. You have to be independent. You have to think on your own 2 feet. You have to be able to carry out the mission. You have to be someone who's capable, someone who can think for himself. You're not a robot. You're an agent. You're an independent person who willingly chose to be an agent. And then you represent the principle. So it's like that paradox. We, the Jewish people, in the way we're like agents. Hashem wants us to be independent. We have a mind of our own. We're able to think. We're able to figure things out. We're able to perceive reality. But Hashem has confidence that we will be like the principle. We'll be like Hashem. Our mind will think and see reality the way Hashem sees reality. So when Hashem is about to take us into the promised land, this was encouraging, the fact that the Jewish people took the initiative. And they asked, is this really what Hashem, they were asking themselves, what would Hashem want me to do? And they hit it on the nail. So this gave them the confidence, you know what? They have the ability to go into Israel. And even with their mind, they'll be able to perceive the reality and the truth of the situation the way Hashem sees it. And of course you can do this. And then of course you'll do this. And that's why we find the very end of the Torah portion, this week's Torah portion, discusses which mitzvah? The mitzvah of tzitzis. It's interesting. The mitzvah of tzitzis is also, it's not really obligatory. You can go through your whole life and you never wear a four-cornered garment. So if you never in your life ever once wear a four-cornered garment, you're not obligated to put on the tzitzis. So the whole mitzvah is voluntary. And yet, we Jews are careful to wear every day. We wear the talis, we wear the tzitzis, the talis cotton. Not because we have to, but because we want to. Because this is what our life is all about. Every opportunity that we have to connect with Hashem, that's what we choose. We grab that opportunity. That is what our life is all about. Our life is all about trying to be in tune with Hashem. And that is why they went to Moshe. Now, the Chassid would always ask the Rebbe, not only about spiritual matters, but even about material matters. Should I move from this city to another city? Should I move from this house to the other house? Should I buy this car, not buy this car? Should I go into business, not go into business? Which business? Why are you asking the Rebbe? The Rebbe is not a financial consultant. He's not a real estate broker. Okay, you want to ask the Rebbe, ask him a question in Torah. Ask him a question, how you're supposed to pray, how you're supposed to give tzedakah. Why are you asking him about mundane things, about material things, about your daily life? Because a Jew believes that everything in my life is connected with Hashem. And I'm asking myself that question every moment. What would Hashem want me to do? I have two options in front of me. They're both good and wholesome options. Should I move to this city or this city? Should I buy this house or that house? This business or that business? I know that there's the right thing to do. What's the right thing to do? What's the wrong thing? What's the right thing? The right thing is, what would Hashem want me to do? So you go to Moshe Rabbeinu, you go to the Rebbe. A Jew is completely egoless. And he is so tuned in with Hashem that he can give you that answer. He can tell you, this is what Hashem would want you to do. And in a broader sense, the Rebbe also tells the entire generation that under these circumstances that we are living through, this is what Hashem needs you and wants you to do at this moment. Every generation has its own challenge. Although we're all obligated to keep all 613 mitzvot, but yet every generation sparkles and shines in certain areas. There's certain mitzvot that we shine and sparkle in. Our generation, it's the mitzvah of tzedakah. That's why the Rebbe stood every Sunday for hours and hours giving to 10,000 people a dollar bill and partnering with them to giving tzedakah to another Jew, impressing upon us again and again and again that this is the mitzvah of our generation. This is the most important thing. This is what's going to bring all healing to us and blessing, and this is what's going to bring Mashiach. This is where our generation sparkles. 100 years ago, you had one Moses Montefiore. Today, you have 100 Moses Montefiore. We're unique. We're very special in that. Like Ba'imir, in 24 hours, they raised, what, $15 million for Hatzalah. It's amazing. Mind-boggling. How generous and how giving and how our generation is in comparison to other generations. This is where we sparkle. When it comes to studying Torah, there's nothing to write home about. Our level of depth, our level of understanding, I mean, it's almost like a joke in comparison to the level of understanding and the depth and the genius, even 200 years ago, 100 years ago, let alone 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. We are the midgets. We are the soles of the feet in comparison to the brains of the Jewish people and the heart of the Jewish people. Well, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. They had no computers to work with. They had nothing to work with. They hardly had any books. And look how prolific they were, and look how brilliant they were. We have everything at our fingertip, and we can't produce anything. We can't create anything. I mean, that's not our strength. When it comes to tzedakah, this is our strength. So it takes the Rebbe of the generation to teach us and to tell us, what does Hashem need and want from us? What's our specialty? What does Hashem need and want from us in our generation? And the Rebbe said, our generation, what is the need and want? What does Hashem need? Firstly, every Jew is a shliach, shlach. Every Jew is an emissary, an agent of Hashem. Every Jew has to view themselves as being an agent of Hashem, an emissary of Hashem. And you have to ask yourself the question 24/7, what does Hashem need me for? What does Hashem want me for? And what's unique about our generation, that every Jew today, it's not enough to live for yourself. It's not enough to be Jewish for yourself, for your own spiritual advancement, your own Torah study and mitzvot, but you also have to take responsibility for at least one other Jew, your neighbor, your friend, your tennis partner, your dentist, your doctor, your family member, whatever it is. You can't just live for yourself. To be Jewish today, by definition, means you have to inspire at least one other Jew. Otherwise, you shouldn't be able to sleep at night. What have I done if I haven't even inspired one single Jew around me? This is our mission. This is what's unique about our generation. That's the responsibility, the unconditional love between one Jew and the next. This is the antidote to the exile that started with that Tisha B'Av, with the original spies. This is what's needed today to end this exile, to bring it to an end, is the antithesis of the hatred that led to the destruction, the baseless hatred. Instead, we have to have baseless love for each other and be there for each other unconditionally. So again, it takes the Rebbe to define for us, what does Hashem need for us at this moment in time in history? What's the call of the hour? Because since the Moshe Rabbeinu was so tuned in with Hashem, there's absolutely zero ego, completely egoless. So he's so tuned in with Hashem, there's no agendas. There's no agendas, there's no personal agendas, there's no ego. And he's not even looking out for his own community. He really shoulders the responsibility of the entire Jewish people, the entire world. And he just cares about what is Hashem's agenda. His agenda is Hashem's agenda. So therefore, he can guide the entire generation collectively and also individually, each one in their own personal lives. He can tell them, this is what Hashem needs from you at this moment. This is the godly thing to do. And if we live that way, what a beautiful life that would be. That means you're constantly living on edge. You're constantly asking yourself 24/7, what's needed from me at this moment? What is my purpose and my mission at this moment? It's like the Baal Shem Tov said, that a Jew comes down into this world and lives 70, 80 years just in order to do one favor to one Jew. And even a material favor, let alone how much more so a spiritual favor. So could you imagine if you lived your life that way? Every moment, you're asking yourself, maybe this is the favor, the one favor. And this is the entire reason my soul came down into this world. So if you live that way and you ask yourself that question, you're going to live on edge. It keeps you alive. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you humble. It keeps you real. So this is the name of the parsha. Shlach lecha l'daitcha. This is a positive thing. That Hashem wants us to make decisions. Hashem wants us to think for ourselves and to ask ourselves the question as we go about our daily lives, what would Hashem, asking yourself, what would Hashem want me to do? Let me see if I can tune in, if I can figure out, if I can come to the truth, what would Hashem want me to do? And just the fact that you're asking yourself that question, just the fact that you care, and you're trying to do what Hashem wants you to do, and it bothers you, then Hashem will guide you and Hashem will help you that you will come to the right conclusion. It will open it up for questions, comments. Oh, Mel, good to see you. Again, by the way, we'll continue this conversation on Thursday, 7:30, about the spies. There's so much to talk about the spies. It's literally one of the most fascinating Torah portions, the whole story and how to understand this whole story, because on the face of it, on the surface, the whole thing makes absolutely no sense, beginning, middle, and end. And we hope by starting with phase 2, in the opening, hopefully in the beginning of July, be able to open the shul on Shabbos, and we'll be back in business. We'll send out the email. Obviously, those who need to should check with your doctor before. If you're older than 65, you check with your doctor if it's okay for you to come. Obviously, if anyone has any cold or any fever, should not come. And it's a good idea just to get yourself tested. It's free, it's available. You may even have the antibodies, which will make it even safer. So slowly but surely, we'll be getting back to somewhat normal. But again, if you have any questions, comments, input, it's all about your mind, your ideas. So please unmute yourself and please speak up.